Welcome to the Advice Show, media with the common sense approach. So we have a U.S. district judge by the name of Mark Fuller, and he was charged with domestic violence. We didn't hear no outcry, no outrage, no demand for him to be removed from the bench. I'm going to roll the clip.
U.S. District Judge Mark Fuller of Montgomery, Alabama, finds himself on the other side of the bench in a courtroom in Atlanta. A high-profile client charged with misdemeanor battery after an alleged domestic violence case involving his wife. The cameras rolled as the judge gave her ruling.
So you've agreed to complete the domestic violence intervention program, go for a substance abuse assessment, and abide by whatever treatment might be recommended.
Fuller received a pretrial diversion without having to admit guilt, which his attorney tells CNN is a standard ruling for first-time offenders when it comes to domestic violence. Fuller's lawyer says his wife had to agree for the pretrial diversion to happen. Police arrested him last month after she called 911 for help at the Atlanta Ritz-Carlton.
What's going on?
This is domestic.
Excuse me?
A domestic dispute.
Okay, with yourself and who else?
I'm calling. I need help.
What's your name?
Kelly Fuller.
Okay, do you need an ambulance?
Yes, please.
The call continued as a second dispatcher conferenced in to help.
I hate you. I hate you.
I hate you. I hate you.
Ready, EMS, what's the address of your emergency? Kelly? Kelly? Okay, she needs an ambulance. I'm sending the police. They're in a domestic fight now at the Ritz-Carlton.
Please help me.
What's the...
In a statement released last week, Fuller said that, quote, I deeply regret this incident and look forward to working to resolve these difficulties with my family where they should be resolved. He goes on to say, quote, I look forward to completing the family counseling that I voluntarily began several weeks ago and to successfully complete the requirements of the diversion. As part of his sentence, he has to undergo a standard alcohol and substance assessment, but his attorney says he does not have a drinking problem. Fuller says he looks forward to addressing the concerns of the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals and is fully cooperating with their investigation. His attorney says until that investigation is concluded, calls for the judge to resign are unwarranted. George Howell, CNN, Atlanta.
So you heard his poor wife crying. She was being beaten. Now this guy got some nerve to not even step foot off of that bench. Because how can you sit up here and want to be a judge, but you're beating on your wife? How many times have other people wanted to handle their issues in a family matter, but yet he thrown them in jail? How many times? See, it's funny how when certain people get caught, they want different rules for them, but others, they want to throw the book at them. But, you know, I noticed a few things that was quite different about all these domestic violence cases. And a lot of people been bringing this up to me, and I've been not trying to go there, but I'm noticing a pattern. Let me go ahead and review this pattern I'm talking about. Ray Rice, he hit his fiance at the time, and now he's the poster child of domestic violence. Chris Brown, when he had hit Rihanna, won't leave him alone. He's a woman beater. All the time you talk about that man. But when the guy in California, the California Highway Patrol officer, beat Marlene Pinnock, you didn't call him a woman beater. No outrage, no outcry from the feminists to lose his job at all. He gets a desk job. When you talk about Hope Solo, she committed domestic violence against her sister and her nephew. Nothing happened to her. She still has a Nike contract. Ray Rice lost his contract because they say they don't condone domestic violence, that we talked about in the previous video, but yet she still has hers. Then we have this guy, Judge Mark Fuller, beating the hell out of his wife, still has his job. So the concern of a lot of black people has been bringing this up constantly, so I'm going to address it. They say, you see the difference? When black people do something, the reaction, but when somebody white do something, it stays quiet. You hear no feminists, you hear no outcry, you don't hear crap at all. This is what they keep saying. And we keep noticing this pattern. We have to address that. Because don't tell me no crap about, oh, well, why y'all bringing up the race car? Because every time we see this stuff, it's like a difference being made as a pattern. I've reported on story after story just for what it is. Not even bringing up the color of anybody. But I keep noticing the same pattern. Somebody white do something wrong, it's thrown underneath the rug. It's no outrage, no outcry. Somebody black do it, it's the end of the world. Let's talk about it. Let's demand this. Let's demand that. You know, like Adrian Peterson too. We keep noticing this pattern. Now you can get mad all you want, but I have no issue bringing up discussions and say, wait a minute, this stuff not right. Same thing with Jerry Jones. He's accused of sexual assault. This man's a married man of 50 years. The mere pictures alone is not good for him with his marriage. So he was there. Anybody else probably would have been locked up. But no feminists, no nothing. No outrage for Jerry Jones to lose his team, anything. It's a pattern that I keep noticing and others keep bringing it to my attention. What is the logical explanation of that? That's what I want to know. What is the explanation? Why is it that I'm noticing a certain group of people can get away with this stuff in the media, at least? I'm not talking about with the general public. I'm not saying anybody giving them a pass. I'm talking about with the media and with the feminists. Why all these people get a pass, but yet when somebody black do it, it's the end of the world and they're the poster child? I think it's a logical discussion, don't you think? In my opinion, it's wrong all the way around, no matter who do it. But unfortunately, in this country, people aren't treated based on what they do. People are treated a lot of times on who you are. And that's the most thing that somebody told me a long time ago. It's not what you do, it's who you are. Certain people could do certain things and they can get away with it versus you can't. And no, it wasn't a black person that ever told me that. It was a white person. And that's the most realest thing I ever heard. And in this country, it's who you are. It's not really about, what's right and what's wrong. We see that. We look at media propaganda against certain groups versus others. You know, that's why a lot of times when you have all this propaganda against black people or other groups, it's because it's put out that way. You try to hate people. Every time you report something about other groups of people, it's something negative. But you never hear all these stories that come out that I put out, because I can care less about people of color. When I'd say anybody is wrong, I'm going to talk about you. I don't care about your color. I don't care about your gender. I don't care about how much money you have. If you're wrong, you're wrong. If you're right, you're right. But explain that to me. Why this guy gets to sit on the bench after beating his wife, no feminist crying, no media demanding, no TMZ, no nobody. It's a private matter. Just answer me that question. I just want to hear your response because, for me, I'm seeing a pattern. Am I wrong? Because it's kind of like in my face now. I mean, when black people do something, it's the end of the world. I just want to know. Hit me up in the comments, future commentaries, subscribe.